Hello guys, now you will hear a brief summary of the movie Fresh. Enjoy! A 12-year-old boy living in the ghetto visits a Latina woman who offers him milk and cookies. He is there to pick up merchandise packaged in small packets. The woman almost deceives the young boy by pocketing one of the packets. It's not surprising, as the woman herself consumes illicit substances. Michael, also known as Fresh, operates boldly, going from one location to another. We learn that the boys entrusted him with this task because the criminal authority, Esteban, is interested in his sister. Child promises to kill him if even one packet goes missing. Due to his part-time job, Michael often arrives late to school. One day, a small packet fell out of a locker, and he discreetly picked it up. Daryl, Michael's best friend, is not very bright, performs poorly in basketball, and just lost $6 in a card game. Michael has a constant crush on a girl named Rosie. Finally, he mustered up the courage to approach her. According to him, Rosie is the one who constantly stares at him, not the other way around. Rosie teases him and says she likes his overweight friend, and furthermore, she lives in a luxurious house with her parents. She believes that Michael will never become wealthy, let alone earn enough to buy a Porsche. However, things are slightly different than she thinks. In a secluded spot near the railroad, in a rusty can, he has hidden a thick bundle of dollars. And now he added one more bill to it. Bold, a daring young boy, dreams of moving from the ghetto to the affluent part of the city, but for now, he has to live with his aunt and share an apartment with 11 siblings. His older sister, Nicole, refuses to live in such conditions, and gathering her belongings, she leaves the house at night. Another sister asks the small-time criminal not to upset their aunt, who took them all in. They can't return home, and they don't want to go to a shelter. Several guys control the drug-dealing spot. They gave Fresh a signal, and he sold his first packet to some guy for him to evaluate the local merchandise. Then, a pregnant woman approached, but the guy refused to sell to her. Another girl is desperate enough to do anything for the drugs. She offers herself to Fresh for $10, but he slaps her and sends her away. The observer of the boys, the jerk Jake, found it highly amusing. In the evening, Fresh went to the boss and complained about Jake, who left him without pay. Corky handed the schoolboy $50, but he confronted the gangster. He had worked the whole day not for $50, they owed him $100. The gangsters understood that this kid had the potential to climb high. In the park, there's a guy who takes down one player after another in quick chess matches. He plays for money. So when Michael sat down at the table, the chess player asked him to leave. But the schoolboy pulled out a $20 bill, and the challenge was accepted. Soon enough, the Fresh announced that he would checkmate in 4 moves. However, according to Michael, the guy was a lassie player and ended up getting checkmated in just 2 moves. Michael's father was watching the game. He had taught Michael how to play chess. Starting the game, he instructs his son. Michael must adapt to his opponent's game. If the opponent likes to attack, he should make them defend, and vice versa. He also tells the boy that sometimes it's better to act as a team rather than alone. And after emptying a bottle of beer, he checkmates him. Despite being involved in adult criminal activities, Fresh enjoys spending time with his peers. Chucky owns a dog that he plans to enter into dog fights, which greatly disturbs Michael, who treats the dog better than its owner. However, Chucky is determined to make money from the dog to buy himself new sneakers and a gold chain. Fresh arrives at the home of the main guy, Esteban. Esteban doesn't particularly like that sometimes the teenager works for Corky. His merchandise is much more dangerous than Esteban's, as are his customers who are hooked on it. Besides, the police don't bother him as much. With him, the guy can continue his business smoothly until he's 50. The most important thing is not to try any of it himself. From discussing business, Esteban switches to vulgarly praising Michael's sister, despite being married and currently rocking his daughter to sleep. The boss interrogates if Nicole has a boyfriend. Fresh, she convinces him that her aunt doesn't allow her to date anyone. But in reality, Nicole is currently living with her boyfriend James, who is also a drug dealer. James doesn't like the competition from Michael on his turf. The boy told the drugged Nicole about Esteban. She is dating James because he has a lot of merchandise. She doesn't want to be with Esteban because he sees her as a queen, but she considers herself worthless. James, on the other hand, doesn't treat her that way, and that's why she is with him. On the basketball court, Michael stared at Rosie until she finally approached him. Meanwhile, a highly talented youngster single-handedly outplayed a group of thugs on the court. He was abruptly stopped by Jake, who threw him to the ground. However, the kid didn't get upset and continued playing. Later, he once again outplayed Jake in a one-on-one and made a basket. The thug pulled out a gun and ruthlessly shot the talented athlete. The psychopath demanded that anyone who escaped tell everyone what he had just done. Only a shocked Michael remained on the court. The tragic thing is that one bullet hit Rosie in the neck, and she died right in front of him. Fresh tells the police that he didn't see anything, just heard gunshots. It's now difficult for him to concentrate on chess. His father notices that Michael seems to feel the pain of losing each piece, but he must understand that it's only a means to reach his king. You may feel like the pieces are your friends, but you must be ready to sacrifice a friend at any moment. It's important to unsettle the opponent, and once you achieve that, you can confidently attack. Michael has never been able to beat his father before. Sam invites his son over. The trailer is filled with chessboards and beer bottles. The wall is covered with photographs of famous grandmasters. Sam played against all of them but rarely won. However, if they played in the park, with money at stake and their lives on the line, Sam is confident they would break and he would defeat them all. The man recalls Nicole. In their childhood, whenever she appeared somewhere, it felt as if an angel had descended from heaven because she was so beautiful and kind. Chucky brought his pet, Rusco, to a dogfight. Rusco didn't resemble a typical fighting dog. Suddenly, the killer Jake appeared, and they exchanged daring glances. The collars were cut off, and the dogs lunged at each other. Surprisingly, the seemingly harmless Rusco managed to overpower the more menacing dog. Satisfied, Chucky received the cash, while Michael asked him not to bring the dog there anymore. Instead, they would earn truly big money. Back at home, Fresh set up chess pieces on a board and demanded that his siblings not touch them. He started a special game. Fresh arrived with his friend at Esteban's place and found his sister naked and drugged, lying on his bed. The boss thanked Fresh for sending her his way. Esteban kicked Chucky out of the room and expressed his desire for Fresh to act alone. He believed that Fresh would rise quickly. Fresh went to the supplier, Hector, and asked him to sell him a large quantity. He claimed to be sent by Corky instead of Jake, who was currently hiding from the police. Fresh took out all the money he had saved. In an hour, a large shipment would be delivered to him. Chucky brags everywhere that he's going to become a cool and rich guy. He'll control the neighborhood and sell drugs by the kilogram. Another friend asks Michael why he's involved with Chucky since he's so dumb and ignorant. The friends go to a bookstore and each take 2 textbooks that were set aside for them. On the subway, Chucky misbehaves and attracts the attention of a police officer. Fresh has to handle the situation. He's annoyed that Chucky constantly gets into trouble. They are already being watched. They approach a hideout in an abandoned building. Here, Chucky pulls out 2 guns. Shocked, Michael grabs one of them but immediately throws it away. Chucky refuses to give up the other one. Underneath there was Esteban's stash. Fresh swaps it with powder that Hector gave him in the textbook. Chucky still refuses to discard the second gun. He believes that Michael disrespects him, so he will run things himself. Suddenly, a car stops in front of the guys, and instead of running away, Chucky starts shooting at the gangsters. Then he falls and drops the gun, which rolls under the car's wheel. The tire is punctured, and it crushes Chucky's arm. Michael returns but can't help his friend in any way. Therefore, he has to leave him behind and run away himself. The small-time gangster is not spared and is shot dead. Fresh found himself at the police station once again, and he was lying again, claiming he didn't know who killed Chucky. The detective left his business card with him in case the boy changed his mind about talking. Fresh's aunt told Michael that she couldn't risk the lives of 11 other children because of him, so he would be sent to a shelter as soon as a spot became available. At school, Curly attacked Michael, accusing him of Chucky's death. A car was waiting for Fresh outside his home. He was thrown into the backseat and taken to Corky. Corky believed that Esteban was trying to encroach on his territory because he started selling the same product. However, Fresh claimed he didn't work for Esteban. He lied and said that Jake had hired him. The killer was very surprised and was about to shoot the liar, but he himself became a target. Fresh continued his game and revealed that Jake had been constantly taking money from the dealers. They had been secretly dealing on the side and planned to take over Corky's business. Jake was beaten with a chain. He insisted that Fresh had set him up. But where did the schoolboy get $5,000? Corky killed his own men with the chain and asked Fresh who was supposed to sell the product on the streets. Fresh pointed to James, his sister's boyfriend. He only showed up at home after 6, that's when they should go to him. Afterwards, the schoolboy approached Esteban and complained that he had been attacked by Corky's men. Fresh once again lied, claiming that Corky was considering getting involved in his merchandise and taking a share of the business. He even pretended that his sister, Nicole, had supposedly informed him about it, which drove Esteban crazy. He had previously lied, saying that she was not seeing anyone. In reality, she had slept with James. James and Corky were planning to eliminate Esteban. According to Fresh, these two were constantly meeting up. Today, after 6 o'clock, they had a meeting scheduled. Esteban soon saw it with his own eyes. Well, war, it's war. The driver was stabbed. Esteban's armed squad approached the building, and Fresh opened a chocolate bar to sweeten the bloody spectacle that he himself had organized. The entire Corky gang was wiped out. James attempted to escape, but Esteban dragged him back. Finding Nicole's clothes in the room, he shot the dealer. They did lose one fighter after all. Shirley remained lying on the asphalt next to Corky. Fresh noticed where Esteban had placed the gun. The boss gave orders to throw the weapon into the water and leave the car somewhere. He went to deal with Nicole himself. Fresh demanded the car to stop and let him out. He ran to the nearest phone and called the detective. Then he went to Esteban's place. He pretended that he had nowhere else to go and asked to stay. Suddenly, the police rang the doorbell. When Esteban left the room, Fresh slipped something under his mattress. The detective entered the room and said that they were called by the neighbors, claiming they heard screams and even gunshots. Fresh claimed that Esteban threatened his sister's life. He also revealed that the boss had just gunned down Corky's gang, including James, out of jealousy. Nicole said that Fresh was lying, but he argued that his sister was simply afraid of the boss's authority and was covering for him. He also mentioned that he hid the gun under the mattress. Michael had previously stolen a gun from the gang's car. Under the mattress, there were also 2 kilograms of powder that Fresh had planted. Finally, Esteban realized that Fresh had fooled him. Michael was willing to testify against Esteban in court, but only if he and Nicole were transported from the ghetto to a safe place. The game was over. In the park, Grumpy Sam scolded the boy for being an hour late. As he set up the chessboard, he looked up at his son and saw him in tears.